We're in Section 1.16.1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good rotation of the earth. May the peace of the Holy Spirit be with you. Welcome to the World Crown. We are in Section 1.16.1 of our first responder address in emergency services. Just before coronavirus pandemic was announced by Couronne in 2020, terrorists destroyed emergency services working to protect the public from news and information terrorism. It happened again just recently. And so if Who.int tries to start another pandemic, don't trust it, even if it gets collaboration from government, hospitals, universities, and businesses. Ethnic cleansing has been confirmed to be a greater problem than people imagine. But the Holy Spirit has always had everything under control and limits the harm that these mentally disturbed medical conspiracies can do to us. In ethnic cleansing, medical information about anything is a muse for medical terrorists. Medical terrorists are brought to justice steadily and regularly. Sometimes they go crazy. Ethnic cleansing trends diseases through mass media and by selling t-shirts and mugs and many different kinds of commercial products. Well, make sure to stay healthy and away from medical trending. If you see people wearing coronavirus masks and working out and exercising vigorously, do not follow their lead. You could hurt yourself. Any doctor will agree that when you exercise, your breathing should not be restricted. Ethnic cleansing is the science of killing. In a pandemic, those responsible create environments of fear and terror where you can die of almost anything. In a pandemic, the goal is to make you fearful and to drive you into the arms of ethnic cleansing operations without you even being sick. Just being precautious has killed men and women. Many medical terrorists have been judged as a result. Ethnic cleansing can be very subtle or very aggressive, depending on the circumstances. In peacetime, ethnic cleansing is conducted by a diffusion of responsibility, so no one detects that it's going on. The techniques used inside Germany and Europe for more than a century have spread out to the world and were standardized, which is why we notice global collaboration with coronavirus. Through a diffusion of responsibility, people died because they trusted their medical system and did not know their medical system had been infiltrated by white supremacy methods, procedures, and all things required in order to make ethnic cleansing by a diffusion of responsibility possible. White supremacy is a mental disorder. Mental disorders are part of Who.int's data. Their key fact states that nearly 1 in 7 people in the world live with a mental disorder. That would be about 1 billion people. Now, that is very exaggerated and not true. However, our world is in judgment steadily because there does exist people with mental disorders who are a danger to themselves and a danger to others. That is a fact. Now, when we analyze our world and measure the judgment of God, we learn that police still are responsible for bringing minor criminals to justice, but the judgment of God is responsible for bringing to justice the major criminals, those with serious mental disorders. People with serious mental disorders are people which can severely disrupt daily life, and often the most dangerous of them are people we would hardly suspect. People such as a president, a dictator, a ruler, those given to secret societies and mafia activity. Even the simple terrorists and anarchists can severely disrupt daily life. People of power with mental disorders can cause suffering. Those who suffer most are people who are subjected to men and women with mental disorders. In political terms, men such as Nazis or paramilitary terrorists, wizards, and communist militaries are also known to inflict much suffering. There are many different types of mental disorders. Nazism is one of them, but it escapes classification. Communist aggression is another, and also wizardry. Both escape the diagnostic classification of a mental disorder. But we can reason that they are mental disorders, as their top people in the military and government, people who are severely disturbed, are judged by God's Holy Spirit. We learn a great deal about mental illness by the types of people who are judged in the judgment of God. In the judgment of God, however, God's Holy Spirit passes over average people with mental disorders in favor of mentally disturbed people which have power and are more dangerous to life in general. Effective prevention and treatment options for a wide range of political conspiracies does not exist. But we still have a very serious problem with wizardry, communist aggression, and Nazism. And no solution except the judgment of God exists. The judgment of God is a last resort. The men and women in judgment do have access to psychologists, but more importantly, they have access to God's Holy Spirit, who can heal them of their wizardry, their communism, and their socialism. But because many men and women exist and insist on their aggression, we have many political conspiracies in judgment. Much poorly resolved and unresolved crimes, as well as 5 global situations, beginning with coronavirus. Collaboration with coronavirus is down, and there is much less terror in our world. Coronavirus is one of 5 diseases which have been declared global situations by WHO.int. Those 5 diseases are coronavirus, mpox, cholera, dengue, and the 5th, HVKP-ST23, was added July 31st in the year 2024. We take everything seriously and pray nothing receive collaboration for ethnic cleansing. When any ethnic cleansing operation receives collaboration, they can make true their claims. News and information remain in a general state of emergency. New sets of mentally disturbed men and women are still destroying public health emergency services, just like they did in 2020, just before their governments collaborated with WHO.int and came out with the coronavirus. So you can count on the judgment of God to respond to every act of terror, and for the judgment of God's Holy Spirit to finish its course, so we can again begin to form better governments in each nation, and once again free ourselves from white supremacy aggression once again. Thank you.